nothing but the dog in me.
Why must I chase the cat?
Good evening and welcome to Posse Presents. Nothing like starting the night with a giggle. I still enjoy my music after all these years. I can't help myself. And that's the end of that story. I actually listened to the whole song the other night. I was telling a coworker, did you ever watch the beginning? And I was explaining to her how we can't post the intro with the show on YouTube because they'll mute it because of the music. And so I went and found it and I shared it to her. And then, of course, while I was all up in, YouTube land, I had no choice because, it draws me. I had to listen to the whole song, and then I posted that to her too. And, it's just, I don't know. It's just my state of mind. I'm just crazy like that. And I know. I talk about it all the time, how much I love that song, but it is what it is, and that's why it's my theme song. Yay. Yay. Anyway, I'm going to start tonight with an excellent idea that I saw posted on Facebook today. I have to thank Juno's Place and Bert's Brigade, my little friends Juno and Bert, for both sharing this, because that's how I saw it. Zach, let's get up that first picture, if you would. It's a little big for the screen, but, we all have like emergency cards in our wallets, in case of emergency, contact, whatever. But we have to also think about what would happen to our babies if something happened to us. Whether you live alone or not, if all of your family members were compromised by one accident or event, what would happen to your animals at home? Then what? You've got to make sure that someone responsible has a key to your home, knows your pets, and, especially if you've got any that are overprotective of the house, you have to make sure that this person can get in your house, if something happened to you. As my friend Terry said in response to the post here, make sure that your designated person knows how to care for your animals. If you have this in your wallet, at least it makes emergency responders aware that you have animals at home. It gives them the information to contact the person who will be responsible for your animals if something happens. I think this is a fabulous idea. They have the window stickers, that list, what your pets are in your house and how many you have and stuff. And that's great if there's an emergency at your house and you're not home. But what if you get in a car accident? What if you get in a position where you're unconscious, you're in a coma, you're incapacitated, you can't even make that phone call. At least anybody with a heart is going to see that. They're going to be looking for your contact information. This can serve as your contact information as well, because really, from my part of things, there's one person in this world who has my house key, and that's Sarah. There's one person in this world who I've ever had go take care of my dogs if, I had a long day, a day trip or something like that, and that's Sarah. She was always over my house. My dogs know her. If I had to leave her to feed them and stuff, it was just a question of I already dished out their food. That's a planned occasion. If you're going to have any kind of an emergency situation and you're going to have someone go into your home to take care of your pets, whether it's just, for the swing shift of a night or so, or, there's going to be a long-term situation, you should have emergency instructions in a place where your caretaker knows to look. You should include the meds, if any, that your pets are on, and the dosing instructions and where to find them. Feeding schedule, how much and how often. Some people feed once a day, some people feed twice a day. Some dogs and cats get supplements and different things added to their food. In the short term, not having their regular, stuff in their food might not hurt, but if you're talking about medicine, sometimes it's crucial that they have it exactly when they need it, and so you really can't play around, and if someone doesn't even know where to look for it, that's going to compromise the whole thing. So, you know, the feeding schedule, feeding amounts, what your walking routines are, you know, where you walk them, where not to walk them sometimes, you know, because there's that big bad dog down the street that gets your dogs riled up, or, you know, the neighbor who's going to scream if you even walk past their house. You know, you have to prepare, and like, you know, that's reading like way into a long-term situation, but you don't know if it's going to be a long-term situation. You know, you should even probably let them know where the leashes are if you don't have them, you know, hanging up, you know, very prominently. You know, my dogs all have separate leashes. Like the boys have their one has a, they have the two different restraint, not muzzles, but the head halter things. One is Dukes and one is Bocce's. Does it matter if you switch them up? No, but they might not fit the same, you know, and so you don't want somebody to slip out because, you know, somebody put the wrong thing on there. You know, everybody's situation is different, and there's always the little ins and outs. And again, on a short-term basis, it doesn't necessarily have to be the worst thing, but in a situation like that, if you switch Dukes and Bocce's and one of them slips out and the dog gets away, that's just going to compound the tragedy, you know. So it's, you know, label them, you know. It's just crazy, but even if you label the pegs where they hang, you know, all kinds of things to think about. You know, you should leave, maybe if you're going to put together like this emergency thing in your house, the copy of the rabies certificates. Because what if, God forbid, you are incapacitated for an amount of time, and you know your person can't necessarily care for them long term? What if the animals have to go into boarding, or something happens to them while something happened to you and they need to go to the vet, or you know they need some, you know, you want to have these like emergency plans set up for your animals, because they can't say, oh yeah, you know, this is where this is, or this is where that is, or no, that's my leash, or, you know, I'm supposed to have my pill. They can't do it. And include your vet's name and number, because you never know. You know, there's so many endless possibilities of what life could do to you, you know, for lack of a better way to put it. And I just absolutely love the thought of having this card. Now, if you can't or don't want to download the card, just put a note in your wallet, you know, make it colorful, make it, you know, the in case of emergency. A lot of times you can put your contact person in your phone, you put ICE, ICE, and that's where, like, you know, the emergency responders know to look in your phone. But, you know, just put a colorful note in your wallet. This way, if something really bad happens to you, you know, it could be days before anybody figures out that you have pets at home and they need care. So it's crucial to plan for the worst and, you know, hope for the best, I think. You know, and again, I thank Juno and Bert for sharing this. I'll take the camera back. You never can be too careful. And I've often thought I needed to put a note in my wallet to that effect. And I think that, you know, that makes that little card, like I said, it's a little big for the screen, but if you want to see what it actually looks like, I do have it posted on the Pound Posse Presents Facebook page. You can see it there. You can, Juno and Bert both shared it. You can go check them out. I have it on my own personal wall. I think I put it in my Waterbury Animal Welfare Examiner group. Try to share that pretty far and wide, because I think it's an awesome idea. And if it comes out too big, you can always copy it smaller and, you know, make it so that it fits in your wallet like it's supposed to. I've got some dogs that I'd like to move on and show tonight. We're going to start with Sterling Zach. If we can get Sterling up. He is a handsome boy. He's not only handsome, he's fun, and he's playful, and he's popular with everyone at the shelter. He loves toys, especially his large balls. that he's got like piled up there. He loves to chase his toys around. He can amuse himself with his toys for long periods of time. I guess the post said he likes to push them around. So, you know, that's a cool thing. You know, you have a dog that won't necessarily breathe and slobber and bring the slobbery toy all over you. Can go play by himself for a little bit. Not that you don't want to play with your dog. I'm not trying to say that. But, you know, it's nice when they can amuse themselves. He knows basic commands. He loves people, and he doesn't want to share his humans. So that's his thing, is that he needs to be an only pet. Sterling is about 2 years old, and he weighs 55 pounds, and you can reach anyone for information about Sterling, who is at the Yonkers Animal Shelter, which is one of my favorite places, as we know. You can email lesliem147@gmail.com. That's LESLIEM147@gmail.com. Or you can call 201-981-3215. And that is Sterling. And our next dog is also a Yonkers Animal Shelter dog. We've got Quattro. Look at that face. Look at that perfect pit bull head. I can't stand it. It's you know, they always say that pitties have the heart-shaped heads. That's the perfect example of it. If you look at that head, that's like a perfect heart, right? With that smile, there's just nothing more glorious to me than a face like that. I'm sorry. You know, pit bulls have so many haters, and it's just, I'm not one of them.
I'm not either.
Not at all. And neither is Speedo, neither is anybody, you know, associated with my show, which is a beautiful thing. And that's why we're all friends. Anyway, Quattro is smart. He loves to learn. He's learning to play politely with toys. Apparently he, you know, gets a little carried away at times, and, you know, don't they all? You know, and it doesn't need to be a big bad pit bull to tear apart toys. I've got a little bad chihuahua that likes to do it too. Bella's horrible with toys. But anyway, we're talking about Quattro, not Bella. He's an up-and-coming star at Yonkers Animal Shelter. He's about 18 months old. He weighs about 70 pounds. And he just looks like, I don't know, I just want to love this dog. You know, I just want to love him. And he's like that perfect specimen. You know what I'm saying? And he's a fun dog, and he's young, and he's got his whole life ahead of him. He shouldn't be at the shelter. He should have a home with that big, handsome head of his. I can't stand it. He is. He's gorgeous. Yeah. Speedo's just commenting on how beautiful he is. Let's run through his pictures again, because I just, look at that. I can't stand it. I just can't stand it. He's gorgeous, and going to be a really good dog for somebody. And you can, again, reach lesliem147@gmail.com or dial 201-981-3215. And we've got another one coming up, Harley. And that's another handsome character right there. He's an easy dog. He's happy. He's a cuddler. He loves to play. You know, he doesn't care what you're doing as long as you're doing it together, which is, you know, another great trait. You know, some dogs are needy and need a lot of attention, and, you know, this guy he's chill. He just wants to be with you. And, you know, how much better does it get than to have a really cool dog that just wants to be with you, and whatever you do is all set. You know what I mean? He's another one who would love to be an only dog. He's about 2 years old, 70 pounds. He's such a good dog, and he's been there for months, and nobody at the shelter can figure out why. He's just, you know, some of these dogs, they get overlooked, and you never really know why, other than that hopefully at the end of the rainbow, that perfect family comes along. You know, I mean, there are times when you can have people looking at a dog and it's just not the right fit, and, you know, everybody comes banging the door down, and it's just not the right fit. Some of them will kind of linger a little bit, and then at the end of the day, they have the best home possible, and then that kind of explains it. And hopefully that's the case with Harley, and he'll be able to find a home soon. And again, it's LeslieM147@gmail.com or 201-981-3215. And that leads us to another beauty, who is Alba. Look at that face. She is gorgeous. She's been at the shelter for 15 months. That's a long time. There's, I just can't imagine. She's stunning. She's beautiful. She's a ball-catching superstar. She loves to learn new games, and you see her with her toy there. I mean, she just looks happy as anything there. She's active and athletic. She's an all-around great companion, a well-rounded friend. She's got a sweet and silly side. She's about 2.5 years old. She's 60 to 65 pounds. She too needs to be an only dog. And, it's sad, most of these dogs that I'm showing tonight, they need to be an only dog, but, that doesn't make them a bad dog. It just makes it harder to find them a home, because most people, like myself, who are into animals, have more than one dog. And, to take on another one is not a problem for the person, but it's a problem for the animal who just has never lived with another dog, who maybe had a scuffle with another dog, who just, doesn't want to share, is very territorial. Doesn't make them a bad dog at all. I keep using the excuse, I don't like people. That doesn't make me a bad person. So, I certainly, I get it with these dogs that don't want to share. Fortunately, I don't have dogs like that, and I never have, and I obviously never could because I have multiples. But if you are interested in being Alba's one and only, once again, that's LeslieM147@gmail.com, and that's phone number is 201-981-3215. And let's run through their pictures again one more time, if you will, just quickly, and then we'll move on to the next one. These dogs are all at the Yonkers Animal Shelter, and just beautiful, beautiful animals who need homes, only dogs. But, again, there's a chance, you know what I mean? There's definitely a chance. There's a right home for everybody. The next dog is Marley, and Marley has been at the shelter since last summer, and that's a long time too. Marley is funny, goofy, well-behaved. Look at that, catching a treat like a champ. Funny, goofy, well-behaved, 2 to 3 years old. Marley is dog selective, deserves to be in a home of her own. All of these dogs deserve to be in homes. They go through so much when they're given up or thrown out or abandoned or whatever their case may be. And, the shelter just isn't the place for them. There's got to be a home for all of them, And the longer they sit, the more it breaks everybody's heart because, they just don't deserve it. So anyway, Marley is at East Haven Animal Control, and the number there is 203-468-3249. Once again, that's 203-468-3249. And that's Marley at East Haven Animal Control. Such a beautiful dog. Looks like a big girl too. But, there's people who are into big dogs, and she's sure to find a home. I love that action shot. I really do. That's a great picture. But that's Marley, and hopefully Marley will find a home. And I will take the camera back for a second, and then we'll have more pictures to go with my next topic. There's a lot of animals that get a bad break in this world. And, they shouldn't be exploited the way they are. Wild caught birds, that's a crime. You want to talk about the poor little Siamese fighting fish, the bettas and the little bulls, that people have parties and they're a party favor. I don't care if it's a goldfish or a betta, it shouldn't be a party favor. That's just sort of diminishing a creature's life. Just because it's a fish doesn't mean it's any less than anything else. You know, they used to do the bedibles on in the vases with the plants on top. I mean, I just never got that. To me, that's compromising. You know, you're using it as a decorative thing, and you're not considering that little life floating around in there. You know, people have to want an animal. Same thing with, you know, the little bedible parties and the goldfish and all that at the fairs. That just drives me crazy. But my topic tonight, and I have to actually thank my friend Jimmy Gonzalez for sharing this, because I saw the article and I read it and I was like, yeah, you know what, that's going to be something I talk about. One of the fads, and it's been a fad for a number of years now, hermit crabs. You know, everybody sees these goofy shells with the crazy customizations and, you know, oh, I got to have a hermit crab and, you know, blah, blah, blah. How do you even pick a hermit crab as a pet? You know, because you want to have, you know, something decorative, really, is what it boils down to. And they require certain things to live and certain things to thrive. And, you know, living in a container and living the way that they're forced to live, it's just not right. It's a sad, short life for them. You know, Zach, you can pull up those pictures, and I will continue on my rant because it's what I do. Hermit crabs rarely breed in captivity. They are wild caught, and they're forced to live in a container that can't begin to match its natural home. You know, look at that. Like, what's that? Compared to the beach, compared to the ocean, compared to its what is that? That's nothing. There's not even sand in there. You know, come on. And sand is a crucial part of what they need to survive. You know, hermit crabs thrive in large colonies. They go on joint hunts for food. They live side by side. They even sleep piled up together. You know, it's just crazy to think that, you know, they forced to live alone in captivity without any of the bonding or the camaraderie or the dependence that they would have on their fellow crabs in, you know, their natural habitat. In the wild, hermit crabs can live for 30 years or more. As a pet, they're lucky to survive a few months to a year. So think of all the years that you're depriving a living creature of by wanting to put it in a container. Like, what's wrong with people? It's just the most amazing thing to me how human beings just want to dominate and have creatures for show, because that's all it is. What are you going to do, play with a hermit crab? How do you play with a hermit crab? You want to tell me that? Exactly. Often they slowly suffocate because they need high humidity to breathe. So, you know, you think your crab is fine, but the poor thing is like suffocating and suffering, and, you know, you're just an idiot who thinks it looks cute on your mantle. You know, I mean, I'm sorry, that's, the thing is suffering and dying a slow death. They can slowly be poisoned by tap water and the toxins in the paint on the shells that these people buy or make to put them into. And, you know, that's another factor. That's crazy. You know, they molt, and molting is skin shedding, and they need deep, damp sand to burrow in to do that properly. Without the proper conditions, molting will stop up until its death. You know, so you're preventing the thing from doing its natural growing process, and, you know, it's just going to die because it can't. It's crazy. You know, you have to think, too, that all the shells that are collected to sell to the trade, basically, to keep the people buying more and more shells for their fancy shells for the hermit crabs, it deprives the wild hermit crabs of the natural supply and basically creates a housing crisis for them. You know, it's you saw the picture of the one like in the bottle because that's all that thing could find. That's so sad. You know, people are going out there and collecting up all these empty shells where naturally another crab would just like move into the next biggest size and they're just grabbing it, and it's basically a housing crisis. That was a perfect term for it. Someone made it seem like a good idea to have these creatures as pets, but people don't think it through. Animals suffer, and we're all responsible for these creatures. So to think that you want to have some kind of a faddish, exotic pet, think twice, because the bigger picture is one of suffering, and it's one of just not the kind of life that these animals are meant to have. It's just to have like these fancy shells because you like a cartoon character and that's how it's painted, you like a race car character and it's got its number. Yeah, that's all great. You know what? Leave the animals out in the wild. Leave them alone. They're not hurting you. You're never going to be able to give them see, there's what I'm talking about, the picture of the poor things in a bottle. Really? Because it couldn't find anything else. You're never going to be able to give them the habitat that they really, really need to thrive. And really, when you think of the lifespan of 30 years or more potentially, and they're not going to last a year in captivity, that's a crime. That's just a crying shame that something could live that long, but because people want to have their eye on whatever the latest fad is, you're just going to exploit it, and it's ridiculous to me. So I will run through those pictures again, Zach, or run to the end, and then I will take the camera back, and just think about it, people, before you decide to bring anything in your house, whether it's a bird, whether it's a fish, whether it's a hermit crab. What are you doing? What are you actually going to give that animal that it's going to, that so that it will thrive? Can you meet, the things it needs in its life? And that extends to any animal, a dog, a cat, anything. Don't bring it in your house if you can't step up to give it everything it needs. Don't bring it in your house if you can't take care of it. And that's my rant for the evening. I will say thank you for watching. Peace, love, and dogs. Until next time.